There's a type of person who can't enjoy a conversation without dissecting it. They see the micro expression that flashes for a fifth of a second. They hear the halftone shift in a voice. They feel the tension in a room before a single word is spoken. Most people call it sharp intuition, a gift. But here's the truth nobody tells them. It's also a psychological burden that can slowly destroy you. Because you can't switch it off. You can't choose to be naive. You can't unsee what you've already seen. And that constant, relentless clarity pushes people like this into isolation, into exhaustion, and into 3 very specific psychological traps. Welcome back. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who see what others don't, and exactly how they can stop being consumed by their own minds. Let's get into it.
But before we get to the traps, we need to understand why these people exist at all. And to do that, we have to look at the brain. Forget the spiritual angle. Neuroscience explains this with 2 things: thin slicing, high-speed subconscious data processing, and the ability to detect incongruence. Think of the average human brain as an audience watching a play. They look at the stage. They believe what the actors say. That's enough. But the perceptive person's brain is watching behind the curtain. It automatically scans the broken props, the prompter's whisper, the sweat on the actor's collar. Their subconscious is a 24/7 data collection machine looking for technical errors in human behavior. Dr. Paul Ekman's research showed that the face leaks micro-expressions, emotional flickers that last just 1/25th of a second, too fast for most people to catch. Not for them. When a coworker says, "I'm really happy you got promoted," a normal person hears those words, but the perceptive person catches the voice rising half a tone. They see the smile stop before it reaches the eyes. Their brain fires one clean signal: data mismatch. That's a lie. It's not overthinking. It's like tasting salt in soup. The tongue simply reports the truth. They didn't ask for it. And it goes deeper. When pattern recognition fuses with theory of mind, they don't just see the lie, they see the wound behind it. The boss who yells? A terrified child afraid of losing control. The person who never stops bragging? A hollow pit of insecurity screaming for validation. Pause. Let that land. That sounds like a superpower, and in theory, it is. But in practice, it quietly destroys people. Here's how. In Greek mythology, there was a prophet named Cassandra. Apollo gave her the ability to see the future, every disaster before it arrived. But he also cursed her. No one would ever believe her. She screamed warnings. People called her crazy, negative, disruptive. That's exactly the trap perceptive people fall into today. Human society runs on polite lies. We need masks to keep workplaces functional, families peaceful, social groups intact. Everyone silently agrees to participate in the performance. And then these people walk in, carrying a spotlight, and start shining it on the dark corners everyone agreed not to look at. Picture this. They're on a first date. The other person is polished, charming, talking about big projects and luxury trips. A normal person gets swept up in it. But within 15 minutes, the perceptive person has already mapped the whole psychological structure. The overconfidence is overcompensation. The constant eye contact checks are performance, not presence. The rushed enthusiasm is a manipulation script. They tell their friends, something feels off, it's too rehearsed. And their friends say, you're too picky, you're ruining your own happiness. No proof, just intuition. So they become the paranoid one, the bad guy in their own story. It's worse inside teams and friend groups. When a coworker plays the victim, missing deadlines, then using tears to control the room, everyone rallies around them. The perceptive person knows the full picture, and sometimes, just once, they say something honest. If the timeline had been managed differently, this might not have happened. The room shifts. That coworker turns on them with real hatred. Why? In psychoanalysis, this is projection and ego defense.
When the mask gets pulled, the brain experiences acute shame. To protect itself, it can't admit the truth, so it destroys the person holding the mirror. Suddenly, the perceptive person is cold, arrogant, lacking empathy. Truth is expensive. Clarity makes people feel psychologically naked, and by survival instinct, they want to destroy whoever holds their secrets. So these people learn the cruel rule. They choose silence. They smile and nod and pretend not to know. And that silence creates a hollow in the soul and pushes them straight into trap 2.
Because once they stop speaking the truth out loud, they don't stop seeing it. The analysis just turns inward. When they stop trusting what others say, they start trusting only their own analysis. And that's when observation stops being a tool and becomes a toxic risk control mechanism. Nothing feels simple anymore. They lose the innocence of relationships entirely. A compliment from a partner isn't just a compliment, it's a setup for a future favor. A gift isn't romance. Their brain immediately asks, what's he feeling guilty about? A reply that comes 30 minutes late isn't busyness, it's distance. It's the beginning of the end. They trap themselves in a constant state of high alert. And the reason is devastating. They believe that if they can predict every betrayal, they won't feel pain when it happens. Their sensitivity becomes psychological armor, but the armor is too heavy. It blocks out everything, including real connection. And there's a clinical name for what happens next: confirmation bias. Once they believe someone is hiding something, the brain filters all incoming information to confirm that belief and discards anything that doesn't fit. Their partner's tired eyes after a long shift becomes, she's getting bored of me. They win every mental chess game. They expose every mask. They are never fooled. But the price is, they can never relax. Innocence disappears. Unconditional trust becomes impossible. The simple piece of resting your head on someone's shoulder without running scenarios? Gone. A luxury they can't afford. They're like someone with perfect hearing, who can detect a crack in a building before it collapses. Useful for survival, but they can no longer enjoy music because every sound is a threat to be analyzed. And while they're quietly drowning in their own head, something else is happening on the outside. A third trap, the one nobody sees coming. There's a specific kind of loneliness that only people who see everything truly understand. It's not the loneliness of being alone. It's the loneliness of standing in a crowd, watching a tragedy unfold in real time, and not being able to say a single word. They attend a close friend's wedding. Everyone is celebrating, but they catch one look from the groom toward the bridesmaid. They see the bride's smile that doesn't reach her eyes, and they know, right there in that moment of celebration, the marriage is already cracked. They raise their glass anyway, wishing you a lifetime of happiness. It feels like standing on the Titanic, watching people dance, knowing what's coming, saying nothing. They can't warn anyone. They'd ruin the moment. No one would believe them. So they carry it, silently, one truth at a time. Holding all those unspoken truths creates a quiet, chronic heaviness, deep empathy for people being deceived, bitter exhaustion from watching the world perform, both at once, constantly. And the cruelest irony? Because they're so good at reading people, they become extraordinary at making everyone else feel understood. They know what you need before you say a word. They become the person everyone leans on. But no one reads them back. People assume they're too strong, too smart to need anything. The one who helps everyone heal becomes like a glass wall. You can see through them, but when you look, you only see your own reflection. Pause. Let that image breathe. So, 3 traps, all real, all exhausting. And the answer is not to see less. Here's what actually works.
In therapeutic psychology, this transformation requires building what are called cognitive boundaries. 3 of them. And they work, but only if you're actually willing to practice them.
This is the art of knowing everything and not reacting to everything. The key is learning to separate truth from responsibility. You see a coworker obviously flattering the boss. That's true. But ask the real question. Is it your job to expose that? Does it affect your work, your goals, your life? No. Then let it be a cloud passing across the sky. You can see it's gray. You don't need to fly up and push it away. Your ability to see through people is a tool for making better decisions for yourself, not a weapon to judge or correct the world. Drop the ego that needs to play the Lord of Truth. Use the insight to protect yourself quietly. Who not to trust, who not to partner with, who to watch carefully. That's the edge. That's the actual advantage.
A lot of the suffering these people experience comes from holding standards of authenticity that the average person simply cannot meet. They expect everyone to be real, to be transparent. And when people aren't, they feel disgust, frustration, exhaustion. But look again, with more empathy this time. Why do most people wear masks? Not to deceive, not to harm. They wear masks to hide wounds, to hide the fear of not being loved. The loud, bragging man at the table, a boy who just wants to be seen. The cold, arrogant friend, shaking inside, terrified of being betrayed again. The lie, sometimes, is the only thing keeping them standing. Once you understand this, the anger starts to dissolve. What replaces it is something called radical acceptance. You see the mask. You don't rip it off. You smile and let the other person feel safe inside it. The greatest form of understanding is not exposing someone's weakness. It's seeing it clearly and still choosing kindness.
This one is the hardest, and it's the most important. To escape the detective trap, you have to accept one uncomfortable risk. Stop trying to control the future. When your radar says there's a 20% chance this relationship ends badly, acknowledge it, store it quietly, and still have the courage to enjoy the 80% of joy available right now. Living fully requires the willingness to sometimes get hurt. You can see every thorn on a rose, but if you spend your time analyzing how sharp each one is, you will never smell the flower. Give yourself permission to be intentionally blind sometimes, so your mind can rest, so your heart can beat like a normal person's, just for a while. When you learn to do that, something almost magical happens. The ability doesn't disappear, it evolves. You stop being a cold X-ray machine exposing every flaw. You become a quiet lighthouse. You see all the hidden rocks and dangerous currents, but instead of panicking, you calmly guide your ship through. That's the transformation. That's the level of perception that stops being a burden and starts being extraordinary.
If you saw yourself anywhere in this video, if you've spent your whole life noticing things no one else does, carrying truths no one else will carry with you, I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not alone. Now I want to hear from you. Of the 3 traps, the accidental villain, the detective trap, the emotional dumping ground, which one hits closest to home? Drop it in the comments. I actually read them. If this video gave you something real today, hit like and share it with someone who might need it. You never know whose day that changes. Subscribe to keep exploring the hidden sides of psychology. I'll see you in the next one.